بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وأصلي وأسلم على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد. Secularity, reality and danger. All praise due to Allah, the Lord of the worlds. Peace and blessings be upon whom Allah sent as a master of the worlds, upon his family, his companions and his brothers, till the day of resurrection. The word secularity, al-ilmaniya, in the Arabic language is the term that has absolutely no relation with the word science, ilm, or its derivations. From the political point of view, secularity means irreligious power, that is, religious should not be involved in power. It is commonly defined in many Islamic books as the separation of religion from the state. However, this meaning is limited and does not state the reality of secularity, which involves the individual and the behavior that have no relation with the state. Is why we can express it differently in a more conformable way to the reality of secularity, which is the establishment of a religious life, regardless the fact that secularity, whose doctrine and philosophy emerged under the protection of the Western civilization, was influenced by the falsified Christianity. One of the Christian proclamations, give to Caesar the power of state and to God the power of the church. Starting from this, there has emerged the principle of separation of religion from the state, a principle attributed to Isa, Jesus والسلام, when he said, give to Caesar what is Caesar's and to God what is God's. Gospel of Luke 20:25. It is in this way that Christianity agrees with secularism. However, religion and power in Islam are made originally to Allah Azza wa Jal and devoted to Him. They do not neither admit the separation between religion and state, nor between religion and society, because Islam as a religion and system is different in its origin from Christianity, which is a set of settlements, and it's also different from it when applied in the Roman societies, where religion were for God and power is for Caesar. And socialism, the religious secularity, is a worldly ideology aiming at isolating the religious influence on life. It calls to set up life on material basis in its different domains: political, economic, social, ethnic, judicial, and others. Also on the basis of the absolute worldly knowledge and of the power of reason and experimentation, taking into consideration interest by adopting the principle of utilitarianism over all the domains of life in power, politics, and ethics based on the Machiavellian principle. The end justifies the means, thus far from the religious recommendations and prohibitions which are restricted in the individual's mind and do not go with them beyond his personal and private relation between him and his Lord. Furthermore, he is not allowed to express himself but only in matters of religious rituals and ceremonies, which consist of weddings, festivals, funerals, and others. Secularity, which is based on the materialistic tendency, is soon emanated from the religious doctrine, whose utmost aim is fighting religion and removing it from all fields of the public life, in addition to excluding people of religion and its protectors and limiting the influence by isolating them from education domains, institutions, and scientific institutes, and preventing religious knowledge. So its highest aim is to establish a state and a society where religion is confined to the individual level and make people of the Islamic society feel brotherhood in a state, regardless the fact that they are not brothers in religion. Nevertheless, the truth is not really perceived by those who divide secularity, on the other hand, into a deistic one which radically denies the existence of the Creator and does not not at all recognize something in the matter of religion, and on the other hand, into non-deistic secularity that believes theoretically in the Creator but rejects any relation between Allah and the man's life. It calls to isolate the religion from the world and life and reject explicitly or implicitly the relation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because atheism is the nature of secularity in all its forms, since atheism is to depart and to deviate from Allah's religion and legislation, including on learning or tendency towards religion. This is what essentially leads to in the Trinity in Allah, the association to Him, and what is illicit, transgress something forbidden by Him, and leave any of the recommendations of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Besides, the origin of atheism is all that contains the association to Allah in His general worship and denying Allah's names, attributes, or acts. The prediction of secularity represents a huge danger to the religion of Islam and to Muslims, when the majority of the Muslims are not aware of its reality because it excuses behind different masks as patriotism, socialism, nationalism, and others, as well as the hides behind destructive theories like Freudianism, Darwinism, or evolutionarism, and others. Its partisans pretend relying on a tested scientific argument, whereas they are just weak, deficient, and special argument rejected by reason and reality. كمثل العنكبوت اتخذت بيتا وإن أوهن البيوت لبيت العنكبوت لو كانوا يعلمون عنكبوت the meaning of the verse all the parables of the spider as the parable of the spider that makes for itself a house. I'm usually the frailest of the houses is the spider's house. Did they but know Al-Ankabut the spider 41, especially the one that gives the appearance of partisan to the religion in order to confuse and to lead ordinary Muslims astray. In fact, it does not prevent the pilgrimage and prayer in the mosque. On the contrary, it contributes in the construction, it takes part in celebrations and festivals, it offers reward and gifts for the imams and those who learn the Quran by heart and show neither struggle nor antagonism against religion, but with very fervent attempts to restrict religion in mosques and isolate it from the domains of life. Among the aspects and domains of secularization which are kept off from religion, politics, and power, the adoption of secularization in these fields is apparent and not hidden from the observers. Secularization of teaching and its methods, if a fact not refuted by those who are reasonable. Secularization of economy and financial structures carried on by expert. Civic, social, and ethic laws are undoubtedly secularized. In fact, secularism makes of the spiritual values negative ones. In this manner, it makes the way free to the spread of atheism, westernization, libertarianism, and ethnic anarchy. It calls for the women's liberation according to the Western style that does not condemn illegal relations between the two sexes. This what helps to open widely the doors to shameful practices that consequently lead to the destruction of the family residence and to its disunion. Thus, with such practices, generations are formed with an religious education in a society where neither an impediment or religious barrier nor a voice of a living consciousness exists, which are substituted by agitations of worldly passions like interest, covetousness, the struggle for life, and other material hopes regardless of spiritual values. Indeed, it is this kind of school that is spread in the Muslim. It is this kind of secularity that is spread in the Muslim and Arab world through the effect of colonialism and the campaigns of Christianization and evangelization. Also, because of the improvements of our compatriots, they related with the evolutions who brandished its slogan and executed the plans of those who have drawn them and supported them to confuse ordinary people with specious argument and the presentation of extreme disorientation that founded their prediction, which consists of surrounding the noble Quran and making the prophecy doubtful. The spread pretending that the revelation is inactive and unable to adapt itself with civilization, and Europe progress only after getting rid of religion. Pretend that Islam neglects the passage of the evolution of life, calls for repression and persecutes the freedom of thought. Pretend that the Islamic religion has already completed its aim and remain in it only a set of rituals and spiritual practices. Pretend that the Arabic language lacks or takes a long time to adapt itself with science and progress and is unable to pursue civilization and development process. However, even if Arabic is the official language in Muslim countries, but still it is marginalized in the majority of the administration institutions in universities and in medical fields, especially in North African countries where the French language has replaced it and really becomes the practical language of speaking and of communication. Nevertheless, the Arabic language has gradually regressed and loses the group ground of the plans already prepared and decided after knowing that Arabic is the language of the Quran and the key of the revelation sciences. Pretending that the revelation has already been practically applied at the level of politics, power in other domains, because they pretend that the Islamic jurisprudence draws its prescription from the Roman law, pretending the harshness of the revelation in its distributions as lex talionis, amputations being stoned to death, flagellation, and decide on retribution that are more appropriate by taking religious laws and methods from the West by imitation, which are considered more clement and more lenient. Eventually, these are the set of presentations that secularists rely on who work in order to interrupt the revelation of Allah Azza wa Jal by different means such as personalities, magazines, journalism, and other plans. In addition to this, they want to separate the authentic religion from the social life and reach it in the narrow West limit and domains according to the leanings and practices of the West, who aims at breaking the commandment of Islam and releasing it from all its obligations and values. Besides, they want to alter the Muslim identity, cut them off from the religion, and lose their ability to it and membership to their community through the alliance to the West full of hatred, and by interchanging the values, notions, terms, and authentic Islamic concept with Western ones in a manner that their lifestyle will be changed so that of the West, and by changing the way of thinking and acting so that it suits the thinking and deeds of the West. They also aim at changing the deco and social behavior with the allegation that it is a modernization of the legislative, juridical, and penal system. And this is in a manner that goes with the civilizational way by maintaining the Western system of modernization, all this under the ban of development and renewal. Many individuals of the Islamic nation who are deeply influenced by secularity, and this is obvious in the fields of institution, power, Sharia, jurisprudence, and education. This influence is due to what was spread of ambiguity around Islam, its language, Quran, and Prophet, as we previously mentioned. Many social and political institutions were influenced by these pernicious notions and proceeded to develop their countries by focusing on secularizing the state, whether under the guise of nationalism, socialism, patriotism, or others. As for the other institutions with Islamic tendency, they are also influenced by secularity, save those whom Allah has protected by His mercy. They have of religion a limited conception since they restrict to its civilization aspect. Islam religion and the state reject categorically this duality, which consists of making a strong barrier between the material and the spiritual world. It is considered an apostasy. Moreover, Islam within its sane and pure nature, its correct dogma and morality does not accept the spread of the Western social evils such as atheism, libertarianism, ethnic anarchy, and other vices, ideological and moral impurities which bring the destruction of the doctrines, unity, the family, and the social existence. In fact, Islam commands Muslims to be entirely to Allah in all domains of life. Its deeds, its words, and its behaviors, its life as well as death belongs to Allah Azza wa Jal. وإن صلاتي ونسكي ومحياي ومماتي لله رب العالمين لا شريك له بذلك أمرت وأنا أول المسلمين. The meaning of the verse, say, O Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, verily my salat prayer, my sacrifice, my living, and my dying are for Allah, the Lord of the Allah, many kinds and all that exist. He has no partner, and of this I have been commanded. And I am the first of the Muslims, that is Allah, and I am the Ketu 162 to 163. The perfect knowledge belongs to Allah Azza wa Jal. Allah's praise, all praise due to Allah, the Lord of the worlds. Peace and blessing be upon our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his family, his companions, and brothers, the day of resurrection.